Well, there is a new skidder in charge of mediation. The indication is the new leader of the rebels is not exactly as personable as Red Eye was. So there's already some conflict going on there, which I think will, in some ways, inform what happens towards the end of the season as well.
Yeah, the other twist on all that is that the Volm they've been battling the Sveni for eons. They've never experienced working with the skidder, so there's a natural friction there between both parties. So we'll learn more about that.
Skidder relations, it's difficult. It's not as easy as it seems.
We have to know about this, but you guys probably know a little more. Obviously, fighting the aliens is the main thing, but might there be a fight between the two human factions because of what happened to their president? Would they blame this group, and would they start perhaps...
The aliens are in many ways actually a catalyst in some ways to human relations. This has been our focus on this show anyways for a long time. And while we don't want to get ahead too far, certainly what's moving is that we're starting to get to know, we've been so focused on the second mass for so long, and then the people of Charleston, we're starting to realize there's a bigger world out there, and us humans, we don't get along as well as we should sometimes, so who knows what's going to happen. But certainly in war, sometimes our worst enemy is ourselves.
Now, you guys only have 10 episode seasons. Do you think that helps keep the pace going faster?
Well, certainly from a storytelling point of view, it does. I mean, it's a great number of episodes to have. We have to be very efficient and compact in our storytelling. I think sometimes, from a production point of view, it would be nicer to be able to stretch out a little more.
Well, I don't know. It's a very exhausting show to do. It's really an ass kicker. I think you can just see that. We're out in the cold, we're out in the elements, it's a very physical show. Noah Wiley gets beat up every year really badly, so we might be able to do a couple more, but physically, we're all spent by the end of 10 episodes for sure.
But it's quality control for sure. I mean, these guys, and we've all been on shows where you're producing 20 or 22, and it's hard to maintain the level of quality that you want to. So I think in 10 it's nuts and the production's crazy, but it certainly allows you to keep the bar fairly high. So.
Can you talk about as storytellers, how you infuse the humanity with all of these different alien species? Because they're not human. They're human-like, but you have this universal thread that you weave through all of them, and the struggle for ascension amongst them. Can you talk to that?
One of the things, this is really a show about human beings trying to maintain their humanity. And one of the things we wanted with the aliens was to create aliens that would help enhance that story rather than the other way around. So the Skidders are ugly, scary, crazy. At the first season, all we could think of was killing them because they were in our business. And when we suddenly confronted Red Eye, and there's suddenly another group of overlords over them, it suddenly starts to perk our sense of, who are we fighting and what are we fighting? Now we have the Volm, who are a little more like us, at least in terms of physicality, and it seems they have a cultural touchstones to ours, and it again becomes a questioning for us as humans, what are we fighting? Who are we as a species?
Technically, we've had to kind of learn how the puppeteers working the Skidders need to move, and how they need to be shot, and how they need to be lit, and then how the music needs to work. And as we got more expert with that, we were technically able to infuse them with more personality. When Doug Jones came aboard, though, it's a whole new ballgame because he just brings a certain level of craft and expertise that I've certainly never seen anything like it. Because Cochise is 50 pounds of rubber, right? And Doug puts it on, and And we all, before we really became aware of how much he could bring to the table, we're like, okay, how far can we go? How much can we count on this character who's really just a man in a mask, emoting and giving us these key story points? Doug does something I've never seen before. He just brings it to life. The way he moves, or the way he infuses his work is brilliant. So then we do more. Then we can do more.
The show itself deals with the universe and the galaxy because you've got aliens from other planets, but it's very much shot as a localized show. It's all about Charleston or the United States. Is it ever going to expand out and show some element of bring something in from the rest of the world? There is Europe, there is Australia, there is Asia.
Very possibly, but it will always be seen. I think this is one of Steven Spielberg's most important mandates. He's always said the show is told from our character's point of view. So you'll notice we don't cut to aliens in the spaceship, and we don't know anything that Tom and the second mask don't know. So as they expand, yes, then we can bring in other parts of the world, and we've hinted at that a little bit in season 2 with Avery, who was flying the plane. That Europe is alive. There are other survivors out there. But I think you'll always see that we are going to be telling the story with our characters.
So I think it was a man from the beginning when the idea was conceived, and it was one of Steven's idea. He wanted to make it very clear that we've all seen the invasion. The entry point is 6 months post-invasion. That's when we took up. And we're going to stay with this. This is the second mass. This is what it's about. The Mason family and the second mass. We're not going to go to D.C. We're not going to go to London. We're really going to focus on our series regulars and our core audience.
I've always thought there would be a great opportunity somewhere down the line to be able to develop an ancillary series that takes place in another country showing the same set of circumstances but a different cast of characters, and that's something that TNG can think about and you guys can think about. Yeah.
But also I think as you if you start watching the show from the beginning and move forward with it, it's expanding our both emotionally and what we know and how much ground we cover with the series is always expanding. So what you pose, I think, is logically, I do think that the world will expand into our story.
To win everything, there's got to be more than one fighting group.
That's right.
Yes.
Saying at some point, perhaps an army's not going to turn up, but a messenger might.
Yes.
Right. We talk about it certainly because part of the show in any successful genre show, and this is we always say it's a dual franchise. It's part family, part genre. You have to be thinking 2 seasons ahead, and what's the end game, and and believe that's part of the conversation, which is what's happening with our folks certainly informs what's happening in the world, and we're going to have to answer that for sure.
Got a chance to achieve that. And what I noticed was two very important things. Number one, the amount of director and actor commentary on the episodes when you never get that. As I was talking to other people too, how connection with fans. So I was wondering if you could talk about the fan perspective and how you welcome them in. And also, because you guys, I think, a great job with that. For people who are relatively new, who are able to listen to these commentaries. It's not just one of them. Season 2 is still
Well, I think one thing that's very clear, I think, in those commentaries is that we've all been, we have a great communication going, and we discuss those things. So it's a very complicated show to do, and if we're not in sync, and the actors aren't in sync with us, it's going to just be chaos, because there's so many moving parts in that show, as Greg on the ground knows that worse than I do, but better than I do. That's what I meant to say. Sorry.
He's a writer.
What's your favorite fan experience
for Falling Skies fan? Well, last year TNT brought a bunch of fans from South America and all over the world, and I like. They were so excited to be on all the sets and see how things worked and see how the skitters were puppeteered. So it's great when they're able to come to us. But I'd like to answer your question a little bit more. There's sort of a metaphor I think available of being on a sports team. I think as the seasons have progressed, we all kind of look around and we go wow, we don't really have any weak links. Our writing is strong. We have really good directors. We have a great production team, a brilliant production designer, great cameraman, and then mostly our actors can deliver. They can uplift this material. And everybody at every level, and more so than any show I've ever been on, like everybody at every level is just into it.
We gotta go.